There was days in Israel when God was still in his house, but his house no longer honored him. Priests stood at the altar, yet stole what belonged to God. People came to worship, but left afraid. Sometime, God begins his greatest plans with a broken heart. In a quiet place called Shiloh, where prayers rose and sacrifices burned, a woman cried alone in silence. She had no child, no voice, no hope left except God. While some wept in the house of the Lord, men who wore holy robes were turning God's house into a place of sin and pleasure. One heart was breaking before God, while other hearts were hard against him. And heaven was watching. From tears God formed a child. From silence God prepared a voice. And from weakness God raised a servant. The child grew where corruption lived, yet remain pure. He listened to God when others priests choose to ignore God completely without fear. He stood when others fell. Stay with us to the end of this story, because it will show you that God never forgets the tears of a sincere heart. He never ignores obedience, and never leaves his people without hope in time of trouble.
Have mercy on your people, Lord.
Restore us, O God.
My dear viewers and subscribers, thank you so much for the love and support on the last story. In the comments section, we asked you to choose the next Bible story by liking the comment you wanted most. And you showed up. The comment with the highest likes was the story of Hophni and Phinehas. So today, I am keeping my promise. But before we begin, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please support this channel by subscribing. It helps this channel grow and allows us to keep sharing powerful Bible stories like this with more people. And to everyone who has been suggesting stories in the comments, we see all of them, even if your story is not being narrated today. Please know that we will try our very best to bring many of your suggestions to life on this channel soon. Stay with me till the end, because this story will touch your heart and challenge it.
Long ago, in the days before kings ruled the land of Israel, the land was quiet, yet troubled. Many people still honored the Lord, but others had forgotten his ways completely. Shiloh, a small town resting between gentle hills, had become the heart of worship. There stood the tabernacle, the holy place where Israel came to worship God. And there served a priest named Eli. Hannah was the first wife of Elkanah, a man from the tribe of Ephraim. She loved God. She feared him. She longed for something every woman in Israel longed for, a child. But Hannah had no children, and her empty arms felt heavier with every passing year. Peninnah, the second wife, had many children, and her heart grew proud because of it. Peninnah called out to Hannah, saying, "Hannah, are you coming? Try not to fall behind. You know, watching my children run is such a blessing. Maybe one day you'll understand." Hannah kept walking quietly, trying not to let her tears fall. Then Elkanah spoke to her with concern, saying, "Hannah, my love, why do you cry? Isn't my love for you worth more than 10 sons?" Hannah smiles weakly, but her heart aches too deeply to answer. Every year Elkanah took his family to Shiloh to worship the Lord, and every year Hannah carried her sorrow with her. But this year, things would change. Eli had served God for many years. His voice was steady. His hands were wise. And though he was old, he still cared deeply for the people. But unknown to him, darkness was already growing in his own house. Hannah's heart could carry no more. She went to the place where she knew God still listened. Hannah prayed quietly, pouring out her heart and saying, "Lord, if you will look at my sorrow, if you will remember me, if you give me a son, I will give him back to you. All the days of his life, he will belong to you." She was praying with her soul. Eli watched her and said, "Woman, how long will you stay drunk? Put away your wine." Hannah answered him softly, "No, my lord, I am not drunk. I am a woman with a broken heart. I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord." Then Eli said to her, "Go in peace. May the God of Israel give you what you have asked of him." Hannah bowed her head and said, "Thank you, my lord." She came with sorrow, but she left with peace. And in time, God remembered Hannah. He opened her womb, and she bore a son, and called his name Samuel. For I asked him from the Lord, Samuel, a child born from tears, a child born from prayer, a child born for God's purpose. When Samuel was old enough, Hannah prepared to do the hardest thing a mother could do. Hannah held her son close and prayed, saying, "Lord, he is yours. You gave him to me. Now I give him back to you."
Look at the colors, Father.
It is the tabernacle, Samuel, a place of peace and reverence.
The Lord's house is beautiful.
Later Hannah stood before Eli and said, "My Lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you, praying to the Lord. This boy is the answer to that prayer. And now I have given him to the Lord. All the days of his life, he belongs to God." Eli lifted his hands and said, "May the Lord bless him and make him strong." And Samuel grew up under Eli, learning the ways of God. Eli had 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, sons who should have honored God, but they did not follow his way, while Samuel grew in love and innocence, serving God with all his heart. A shadow was growing in the very same house, a shadow brought by 2 priests who should have known better, but they became a disgrace to priesthood. Now the sons of Eli were the sons of Belial. They knew not the Lord. 1 Samuel 2:12. The Bible described them as sons of Belial. In Israel, priests were meant to represent God to the people. Calling priests sons of Belial is like saying, they are the exact opposite of what God's servants should be. They were morally corrupt. They had no fear of God. They abused their priestly office. They treated holy things as common. They lived in open, unrepentant sin. 2 men born into the priesthood, 2 men trusted with holy things, but refused to serve God sincerely. Samuel walked gently through the house of God. As he served, he whispered in prayer, saying, "Thank you, Lord, for letting me serve you." Every morning, Samuel rose early. He waited on Eli. He served the people. He smiled. He listened. He obeyed. And God watched him with pleasure. Elsewhere in the courtyard, people gathered with sacrifices. Some brought lambs. Some brought grain. Some brought birds. Hophni and Phinehas walked among them dressed as priests, yet filled with arrogance. Though they wore the garments of priests, yet their hearts were far from God. A man stood with a pot of boiling meat, ready to follow the law of the Lord. A man spoke carefully, saying, "My lord, the fat is still boiling. It belongs to the Lord first." He was still talking when a fork was put into the pot. Hophni dismissed him, saying, "Don't worry about the fat. We'll take it now." The man protested again, saying, "But, my lord, the fat must be burned to the Lord. It's his law." Then Phinehas threatened him, saying, "Give it to us now, or we will take it by force." The offering that belonged to God, they stole it for themselves. They did it openly. They did it proudly. They did it every day. Their hearts had become hard, like stone. Samuel passed by the altar. He stopped when he saw the fear on the man's face and heard the raised voices. He did not speak. He only watched, confused, hurt. Samuel was still a boy, but even so he could see the evil done by those who should have known better. God saw it too. As evening fell, some women came to clean the entrance of the tabernacle. They carried water, they swept dust, they arranged lamps. Hophni and Phinehas approached them, not with holiness, but with hunger in their eyes. One of the girl servants whispered nervously, "They're coming again." Another girl answered her quietly, "Don't look at them, just keep working." Hophni approached and spoke carelessly, saying, "Why work so late? You should come with us. We can take care of you." The women stepped back in fear. Then Phinehas added confidently, saying, "Don't be shy. We're priests. God won't mind." The women fled. They sinned with women at the very entrance of God's holy house. They treated nothing as sacred anymore. Not God's altar, not God's law, not God's daughters. Their sin rose like smoke to heaven, and the Lord was not blind. Reports reached Eli from every side. One man spoke up, saying, "Your sons stole my offering." A woman followed, saying, "Your sons threatened my husband." Another woman spoke through tears, saying, "Your sons treated us with shame by the tabernacle entrance." Eli closed his eyes in pain. Eli loved his sons, but he feared confronting them. He delayed, he hesitated, and their sins grew worse. Meanwhile, Samuel continued to grow. He learned the scriptures. He helped Eli walk. He prayed with a pure heart. He wore the little robe his mother brought him each year. Samuel grew, not just in age, but in goodness, in purity, in honor, in love for God. The difference between him and the sons of Eli became clearer each year. One walked toward light. Two walked deeper into darkness. At last, Eli spoke to his sons. Now Eli was very old, and he heard everything his sons did to all Israel, and how they lay with the women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. So he said to them, "Why do you do such things? For I hear of your evil dealings from all the people. Know, my sons, for it is not a good report that I hear. You make the Lord's people transgress. If one man sins against another, God will judge him. But if a man sins against the Lord, who will intercede for him?" Nevertheless, they did not heed the voice of their father, because the Lord desired to kill them. 1 Samuel 2:22-25. He pleaded with them once more, saying, "Please, listen to me. Turn back to God. Stop this wickedness." But they did not care. They did not fear God. They did not respect their father. They did not fear the judgment of God. They did not listen. Their hearts were too far gone. And the Lord planned to judge them. The Lord saw every sin, every stolen sacrifice, every abused woman, every arrogant word, and God decided their time would come to an end. The days of Eli's sons were numbered, and the voice of the Lord was about to speak once again in Isreal. God watched the sins of Eli's sons. He watched their pride. He watched their wicked actions. He watched Eli's weakness. And now he was ready to speak. The silence of heaven was about to break. Inside, Eli sat leaning on his staff when a messenger of the Lord came to him. Eli asked, "Who are you?" "My son." The man of God answered calmly, "I am a messenger of the Lord, and I come with his word." Eli lifted his head, fear settling deep in his heart. He had feared this moment because he knew God had been silent for too long. The man of God spoke with steady authority. The Lord says, I revealed myself to your ancestors in Egypt. I chose your family to be priests, to offer sacrifices, to stand before me. But why do you honor your sons more than me? Why do you allow them to make themselves fat with the offerings that belong to me? Eli's eyes filled with tears. Man of God, because of this, the strength of your house will fall. Your line will no longer walk before me forever. I will raise up a faithful priest, one who will do what is in my heart. And this will be the sign. Both of your sons, Hophni and Phinehas, will die on the same day. Eli lowered his head in deep pain. The messenger left. Eli remained alone. His hands trembled. Eli whispered to himself, My sons, what have you done? Eli loved God. Eli feared God, but he loved his sons too much, and corrected them a little. Eli should have taken off their priestly garments and publicly removed them from service, but he did not. Because of this attitude of Eli, God was angry. The weight of God's judgment pressed down on his heart like a stone. Meanwhile, Samuel continued to grow. He served faithfully. He helped Eli. He learned the scriptures. He prayed with a pure heart. As darkness grew in the house of Eli, light grew inside Samuel. The people watched the boy with hope. They saw obedience. They saw kindness. They saw purity. And God saw a servant ready to hear his voice. Night fell over Shiloh. The lamps of the tabernacle glowed softly. Samuel lay down on his mat near the ark room. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare. Visions were not common. But that night, heaven spoke. God called, Samuel. Samuel stirred and said, Here I am. He rose and ran to Eli, saying, Here I am. You called me. Eli replied gently, I did not call you, my son. Go back and rest. Samuel returned and lay down again. Silence filled the room. Once more God called, Samuel. Samuel rose quickly and ran to Eli again, saying, Here I am. You called me. Eli answered, No, my son, I did not call you. Go lie down. Samuel walked back slowly. The lamp flickered. Again God called, Samuel. Samuel ran once more to Eli, saying, Here I am. You called me. This time, Eli sat up fully. Understanding it was a call from the Lord, he said, The Lord is calling the boy. Eli looked at Samuel and instructed, Go and lie down. And if he calls you again, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Samuel nodded and returned. He lay down, eyes open. The air grew still. Then God called, Samuel, Samuel. Samuel rose to his knees and said, Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. And the message was not easy. The Lord said to him, Behold, I will do something in Israel that will make the ears of everyone who hears it tingle. I will punish Eli's house forever because of his sons' wickedness. He knew their sins. He knew they dishonored me, and he did not stop them. The sin of Eli's family will not be taken away by sacrifice or offering. After the Lord has spoken, Samuel sat trembling. To him the night felt endless. And in the morning, Samuel opened the doors of the tabernacle as he always did. Eli called to him, saying, Samuel, my son. Samuel approached slowly. Eli asked, What did the Lord say to you? Do not hide it from me. Samuel took a deep breath and replied, He told me, Judgment is coming upon your house, because of what your sons have done, and because you did not stop them. Eli closed his eyes and said quietly, He is the Lord. Let him do what seems right to him. From that day on, Samuel was known throughout Israel. The Lord was with him. His words never fell to the ground. Israel knew a true prophet had risen. But the house of Eli was moving toward its tragic end. Israel was at war again, this time fighting the Philistines, and fear filled every home. Israel's soldiers camped near a place called Ebenezer, while the Philistines camped at Aphek. The two armies faced each other, tense and ready. Hands trembled as soldiers gripped their spears. A young Israeli soldier shouted, "Where is the Lord? Why do we feel so alone?" The soldiers looked around. They did not hear a word from God. All they felt was fear. When the battle began, Israel fought with all their strength. But the Philistines were stronger that day. Swords clashed, dust rose, cries echoed. That day, 4,000 Israelite soldiers died. Back at camp, the elders of Israel gathered in confusion. One of the elders said in frustration, "Why did the Lord let us lose today?" Another elder suggested, "We must bring the Ark of the Covenant. If we carry it with us, surely God will help us." They said Ark, but they didn't say repent. They wanted God's power, but not God's heart. The elders sent men to Shiloh to get the Ark. They did not ask God. At Shiloh, Hophni and Phinehas were sitting proudly near the Ark, acting like rulers of the land. The messenger, breathing heavily, reported, "The elders, they want the Ark to help in battle." Hophni smiled while Phinehas grinned. Hophni said eagerly, "Finally, something exciting." Phinehas added confidently, "We will lead it. We are the priests." Their hearts were full of pride. They did not tremble before the Lord. They did not fear taking the holy ark into danger. The ark arrived in the camp. The people shouted so loudly. The ground shook. Oh, soldiers rejoice. "Yes, the Lord is with us." But the Lord was not with them, not like they thought. Their hearts were far from him. Inside the camp, Hophni and Phinehas walked proudly behind the ark, acting like warriors, not priests. Fear spread through the Philistine camp. Philistine soldiers, shaking in fear, said, "The Israelites brought their God's ark. This is the God who destroyed Egypt." Their commander shouting to them, "Be strong, fight like men. If we don't fight, we will become their slaves." Fear pushed them into fierce anger. The battle exploded with power. Shouts, swords, dust, terror. Israel screamed and fought. But heaven was silent. Hophni and Phinehas tried to act brave, but their sins were louder than their courage. A Philistine spear struck Hophni. Another sword struck Phinehas. They fell, just as God had warned Eli. The two sons who refused to change died in the same battle. But it was not the worst, because the ark, the holy ark of God, was captured. A man escaped the battle. He ran back to Shiloh as fast as he could. His clothes were torn. His face was dusty and pale. His heart carried news heavy like a mountain. In Shiloh, the city was quiet, but everyone's eyes were on one man, Eli. Eli was 98 years old. His eyes could no longer see, but his heart could feel danger. Eli asked, "What is happening? Why is everyone crying?" The messenger reached him, trembling, said, "I have come from the battle. Israel has lost. Your sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead." Eli's head dropped. His body shook. The messenger continued, "And the ark of God has been captured." When Eli heard about the ark, he fell backward off his chair. His neck broke, and he died. The man who led Israel for 40 years died with a broken heart. Then the man said to Eli, "I am he who came from the battle, and I fled today from the battle line." And he said, "What happened, my son?" So the messenger answered and said, "Israel has fled before the Philistines, and there has been a great slaughter among the people. Also your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas are dead, and the ark of God has been captured." Then it happened, when he made mention of the ark of God, that Eli fell off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died, for the man was old and heavy. And he adjudged Israel 40 years. 1 Samuel 4:16-18. Phinehas's wife was pregnant. When she heard the news, her husband dead, her brother-in-law dead, her father-in-law dead, the ark captured. Her pain grew stronger than her body could carry. The midwife held her hand tightly, urging, "Hold on, your baby is coming." With her last strength, she gave birth to a son. The midwife smiled sadly and said, "You have a baby boy." Phinehas' wife looked at the child with tears, her voice weak. "His name will be Ichabod." The midwife asked, confused, "Ichabod?" Phinehas' wife replied, "Yes, it means the glory is gone, because the ark of God has been taken." And with those last words, she died. A child was born, but the whole land felt empty, dark, lost, because God's glory had left Israel, not because he abandoned them, but because they abandoned him. Hophni and Phinehas were gone. Eli was gone. Ichabod lay in his cradle, motherless, and the ark was far away, in enemy hands. The Philistines thought they had won the greatest victory of their lives. They carried the ark of God from the battlefield into their land, as if it was only a box of gold. They brought it into the city of Ashdod, into the temple of their idol, Dagon. The ark was placed right beside the giant stone statue of Dagon. Philistine priest said proudly, "Now our god Dagon has defeated Israel's God." But God does not need soldiers or swords to show who he is. The night passed quietly, but early the next morning, the statue of Dagon had fallen on its face, right in front of the Lord's ark. Philistine priest became confused, and they said, "What happened? Pick him up!" Men rushed to lift Dagon back in his place. They brushed the dust off the statue. They checked if it was cracked. Then they left. But the next morning, Dagon lay on the floor again, face down before the ark. This time, his head and both hands were broken off. Only his body was left. The priests froze. They stared at the broken pieces. Their mouths dropped open. Philistine priest became terrified and said, "This is the hand of the God of Israel." They thought they defeated God, but God was showing them the truth. Then something worse happened. Everywhere in Ashdod, people began to get sick. Painful sores, tumors, fear. Men cried out. People fled through the streets. Ashdod leaders said to themselves, "We cannot keep the ark here. It is destroying us." So they sent the ark to another city, to Gath. But the same thing happened there. Sickness, fear, people running for their lives. The people screamed. Gath citizens said, "Send it away! Send the ark away!" So the leaders sent it to another city, Ekron. When the ark arrived, the people of Ekron ran in terror. An Ekron citizen cried out in fear, "It's the ark! They brought death to us!" And once again, sickness struck. People died, people suffered, people wailed. All the Philistine leaders gathered. The leader of Ashdod, shaken with fear, said, "We must send the ark back before we all die." The leaders sat together in silence. The priests stood before them. A Philistine priest spoke seriously, saying, "Return the ark, but do not return it empty. Give an offering, show respect. Maybe the God of Israel will stop punishing us." One of the Philistine leaders asked, "What offering?" The priest answered, "Make 5 gold tumors and 5 gold rats to match the plagues he sent." It was their way of saying, "We know it was you, Lord, and we are sorry." The leaders agreed, and they placed the ark on a new cart. Tie 2 cows to it, cows that have never pulled a cart before. Let their calves be taken away. If the cows walk straight to Israel's land, then we will know that God has done all these things. It was a test, but heaven already had the answer. The morning came. 2 cows stood before a new wooden cart. The ark rested on it. The gold gifts lay beside it. Philistine soldier, nervous, said, "Let them go." The cows began to walk. They did not turn right. They did not turn left. They walked straight toward Isreal. The Philistines followed them from a distance, watching silently, afraid to even breathe too loud. Villager of Beth-Shemesh shouted, "It's the ark! The ark is coming home!" The people ran out with joy. Men dropped their tools. Women left their water jars. Children laughed and ran. They welcomed the ark with songs and praise. Samuel grew, and God was with him. And now, Israel was ready to listen again. Samuel stood before the people. Samuel said to the people, "If you truly want to return to the Lord, then throw away your idols. Turn to God with all your heart. He will save you." The people obeyed. They destroyed their idols. They gathered at Mizpah to pray. They poured out water before God, a sign of emptying their hearts. They confessed their sins. The Israelite man cried in repentance, "We have sinned against the Lord." The land that was once full of fear now became full of repentance. When the Philistines heard Israel gathered at Mizpah, they thought it was the perfect time to attack. The Israelites saw the approaching army and trembled. Israelite elder said to Samuel, "Please pray to God for us. Don't stop praying." Samuel nodded, calm and steady. He took a lamb and offered it to God. Samuel prayed, "Lord, help your people." Then something powerful happened. God thundered, a sound so loud, so heavy, so terrifying that the Philistines stumbled, dropped their weapons, ran in confusion. Israel chased them and defeated them completely, not by Israel's strength, but by God's voice. After the victory, Samuel placed a large stone on the ground. Samuel spoke with inspired conviction, saying, "We will call this stone Ebenezer, the stone of help, for the Lord has helped us until now." From that day on, God gave Israel peace. Samuel became their leader, wise, humble, and faithful. He walked from city to city, teaching the people, settling problems, guiding hearts back to God. This story is not only about priests and prophets. It is also a warning to parents. Eli loved his sons, but love without correction is not love. He warned them with words, but he never stopped them with action. He spoke gently when he should have stood firmly. He feared breaking his sons' hearts, but never thought he was breaking the heart of God by refusing to correct them. And in the end, he lost them completely. God did not judge Eli because he didn't know his sons were evil. God judged him because he knew and did nothing. This story teaches us that God sees our hearts. Being close to holy things doesn't make us holy. Only an obedient heart does. Eli warned his sons with words, but never corrected them with action. And what love refuses to correct, God will judge. It reminds us that parents must guide their children, that sin has consequences, and that God will raise new leaders when old ones fail. Parents, listen carefully. Correcting your child is not cruelty, it is protection. Silence is not peace, it is permission. When a parent refuses to discipline, the world will discipline that child instead, and it will be harsher. If this story touched your heart, Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. These stories are not just for watching. They are for remembering. Please share this with someone who needs hope today. And tell us in the comments, what part of this story spoke to you the most? Stay with us, because the next story on this channel will be another powerful journey of faith, failure, and God's redemption. Thanks for watching.
And now we share that blessing with all who hunger for it.